When you have no chance in your country, you're not going to care, are you coming here legally or illegal?
She gave me a nice smile. She was real, and I'm like, can I get your badge number and your phone number? Israel was created by the United States.
No, I know, but I'm saying that when you're saying, who are we to say what's he, who knows what any state can do or not do, but that's exactly what we've been doing for years.
Yeah.
Rob, episode number 20, we have a lot to uncover, especially what's going on this past week.
Yes.
No King's Day, war, first time we had a parade.
Yep.
I think, right? I think it was the very first time we had
protests.
Yeah. And then no King's Day parade. Or no King's Day parade. No King's Day protest. Trump's birthday. G7. Trump's has a G7 summit right now. He was saying how he would like to see it as a G8 summit with Russia back included. He's very unhappy about that.
How do you fix a problem if you don't have one of the problems at the table?
Exactly. If you can't hear the voice, you can't hear the other side, their concerns.
And he can see the other people, and he can listen to the other people. And, that's ridiculous.
It was Obama and Justin Trudeau who, both agreed upon to taking out Russia out of the G8 summit.
Really, those two jellyfish? Really? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
But he made a deal. Like, remember his second term? Right before the election, he said something to Putin about, let me get back into office, and we'll take care of these deals.
Yeah, and I think he's working on it, and I think definitely they should be included. I mean, they're a massive superpower. I mean, eastern part of the world is Russia. Western part of the world, it's
also Pakistan and India.
States, I'm not talking about nuclear, but just overall as a superpower, militarily, economically, and so on. Yes, they may not be the biggest economy in that part of the world, but they're the largest country in the world. Did you watch the parade?
Nope.
You watched the Red Sox game?
Yeah, Red Sox and Yankees. That's more important.
Really?
Of course it is.
Who won? Yankees?
No, are you kidding me? Red Sox swept the Yankees, and they got rid of Devers. They got rid of Rafael Devers, the number one hitter, because they don't like his attitude, because they paid him $300 million this year, and he didn't want to play. He was supposed to play third base, but they brought in Bregman to play third base, and then they said, oh, you can play first base because their first baseman got hurt. He goes, I believe third base.
No way.
So $300 million they give him, and they unloaded it to the Giants.
I would play the first base for $300 million. How many years is that for?
Maybe
5, 6?
Yeah, it wasn't that much.
Wow. That's a lot of
money. But now we lost them. We started winning. I think we won our last 6 out of 7 games, and finally, this guy who couldn't hit a ball for the first, 20 games, 15 games, he couldn't get a hit, and they didn't have a problem. He hit a home run yesterday, and then he had to go.
Nice.
So that's what I did. I don't.
Do you care? Did you care about the parade, or would you think of it?
I tried to watch. Like, I put it on. I said, I'm not wasting my time. This is a commercial for the military. I respect the Army. I think it's great that they had a parade for the 250th year. However, it's a big, because we're about to enter into World War III possibly. I think it's a big commercial, big thing to get people excited about the military.
Good analogy. I didn't think about that. But I hope we don't get into World War III with especially everything that's going on. But I think it's good to have a parade. Why not?
You'll have it.
The rest of the world has military parades. Why can't we have one? I mean, it's patriotic. People get pumped up about it. It's cool for kids. The kids go into
seriously,
these parades and
look at this. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, in reality, when you look at this, it doesn't. What is it? This doesn't look anything. It doesn't look like a show of force. It really doesn't. It's just when you look at, I don't know, maybe it's the person that was filming it or producing it. It just, when you look at the old military parades, the way the propaganda, it give you like a high. But this just looks, I don't know.
You think they're going to continue this, or this one-time deal?
One time.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think he's going to have another one next year?
No.
So this was solely for the 250th?
Yeah, unless the Marines have an anniversary next year and it falls on his birthday.
Well, he had a good birthday, right? Look, he had a military parade. Yeah. Then at the evening, he went to Mar-a-Lago, most likely, partied his ass off. He didn't have a sip of wine, I'm sure, because he doesn't drink, right?
Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything. I don't know how he
Gets
his energy.
Man, honestly, yeah.
But then, the good thing was because they were prepared, because we talked about it last week about the protests for No King's Day, there wasn't any problems
With the parade?
with the protesting.
No, I know. But at the parade you're talking about?
Yeah. At the parade in the States, it was all peaceful.
No, it wasn't all peaceful. Portland, they trashed the city.
Was that yesterday they did it?
No, on the 14th.
Well, I expect that out of Portland because that's where the home of Antifa.
Yeah, it is the home of Antifa.
So
and
they're all. I know. Get ready for that. Use your finger on the button there, Tom, because they're up there.
Yeah, Tom, can you pull up one of those scenes we can take a look at? If you haven't seen one, Rob, it's crazy. They trashed the city. I mean, look what's going on. Look, they're attacking ICE agents.
Oh, great!
Federal agents.
Step on them. Step on their heads. Pull out their intestines and put them in a sewer. Trash.
Look what they're doing. I mean, and we talked about this before. You want to protest, man? You're welcome to protest as much as you like, but protest in a civil and safe manner.
Is that the
Mind your own
gender? No. You mind your own gender because you're pushing it down our throats. I don't give a what you do. Mind your own gender, you freak. Look at this crap.
Yeah, this is crazy.
No kings or fools. What do you do for a living? The guy holding that
Why
sign.
Why did they name it No King's Day? What's the reference on that?
Because the liberal whack jobs are saying that Trump is like a king because he's bringing the military into states like a king, and then you got guys like Bill Maher who say he's not gonna he's gonna run again, and so.
You really think he's going to run again?
No, he's sitting now. He's sitting down when he talks now. The guy's not going to have any more energy in 3 more years.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to run again. You know who I think might run? His daughter, Ivanka. Not this time around.
Yeah.
I mean, but she might. I think she's the type of a gal. She's smart. She's beautiful. She has the knowledge. She has the experience in business. She was part of the first administration as an advisor, right, with her husband Kushner.
Yeah, but she doesn't look real.
I've seen her in person. She actually looks very.
I mean,
real.
on TV, she kind of looks more like a doll.
No, she's this solid woman. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the way from what I've seen and her interviews, the way she speaks and the way she deals with things. She's a great mother. She's very involved with her kids. She's a great wife. I mean, again, this is all just an analogy from what we've seen on television. Of course, everybody's very different when in private.
You don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know. Maybe
that's an old Charlie Rich song. Behind closed doors, where she lets her hair hang down.
Does she live in New York, Tom? I think she lives in New York. She might one day, I don't know, decide to run for, I don't know, Senate or Congress, and then slowly progress herself. Or is she in Florida? Where does she live?
It looks like Florida. So she has a house at a grove. I don't know what that means, but the houses here definitely look like it's in Florida. It has palm trees. It's right on the water.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely Florida, or in Florida, wherever she is. It's a Republican state. She might have a chance. I don't know.
And I just want to say, from the outside looking in at her, she does look fake. She does look like a doll, but when she talks, she doesn't have the same mannerism as her father.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem animated like her dad, which I like.
The boy, his sons, his 2 oldest sons are as animated as their dad.
Oh, Junior?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, Don Jr. and the other son, both of them are animated.
I wouldn't trust Don Jr. with $20. I really wouldn't. There's something about him that I just don't like.
Sleaze? Get that sleazy kind of car salesman like Gavin Newsom.
I think it's the hair.
But they just get that smile with just the most untrusting smile.
But Ivanka, man, I think she's solid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what she does because she hasn't really done anything yet.
She hasn't done anything. Yeah, I know. But she's maybe waiting for her dad to, quit his job and then go into retirement and then start.
So that was the only place it was bad, was Portland.
Oh, there was one in Utah where someone was shot and killed, unfortunately, but that was the only death this whole weekend.
Yeah.
One death.
There, you mean one death from the protests?
Yeah, just
one
one.
too many. That's what I say.
No, you're exactly right. But
Yeah.
like, it's surprising when you think about it. 200 cities, United States protested.
1,500 protests.
1,500?
1,500 protests.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I mean that's what it was initially planned for 1,500 protests. There were like 100 protests, maybe 100 protests just here in LA region, LA County region. There was LA, there was Glendale,
Santa Clarita had 2,000.
There you go, Santa Clarita, which surprisingly Santa Clarita is a very Republican district.
Yes.
And still protests went on. But you were saying earlier that Trump actually changed his stance on his immigration policy.
Well, if
not immigration, excuse me, his stance on ICE, like where they should search, who should they pick up, right?
Well, I'm gonna word it this way. I don't know if he changed his stance, but he came out and he formally said that we should not be going after the farm workers who are hard workers. We shouldn't be going after the non-criminals. We shouldn't be going after people in the hospitality industry. Those are all good people who work every day, and and I think they should take it one step forward, and they should
go through the legal process.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of a word for fast. Like go through it fast. Like give these people the paperwork. We have technology. We can do shit like this. Do a background check. Get them in the door on the train so that in a year or so they can become citizens.
Yeah.
I mean,
even if they're not citizens, even if they're legal aliens of this country, citizenship, it takes years. I think you have to be a legal alien for 5 years, and then afterwards you can apply for U.S. citizenship for you to become a citizen. But even for them to be part of the legal system, be a legal immigrant, that's still already a big deal,
But they're saying, the protest changed his mind. We don't even know because Trump never said go after the farmer. He never said go after the people cleaning the hotels or the dishwashers. Okay, he never said that.
Let's read his tweet. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace in many cases. The criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open border policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get rid of the criminals. So yeah, that's exactly what we have been talking about. I guess he watched our show, Rob, and he liked you a lot, and he agreed with you and said,
"Did you agree with? Were we on the same page that day?" Yeah, so you liked us both.
I know.
We should get a Trump cup.
A Trump cup?
Yeah,
we should
with his name on it, President Donald Trump, and put it here. Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, you remember we were talking about those farm workers in California where we were going back and forth about their hourly wage and how much they're making? So those people, see, I mean, he's on this very same page that we are. They shouldn't be snatched up. They're
unless they're a criminal.
Unless they're a criminal, yes, and that's exactly what we said. If they're a criminal, but I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is there a level of criminality that should also be, talked about? Like, let's say, like minor offense, like. Let's say reckless driving, is that criminal? Should they
if you're drunk?
Should they be? No, not drunk. You're going 100 miles an hour with your, car.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People can take that a little bit too far as well. But I think if you get arrested for any sort of violent, 100%. Violent, white-collar
misdemeanor.
Misdemeanors. Felony, any felony conviction?
Of course, felony, yeah.
Because, soliciting a prostitute can be a felony conviction.
Don't tell me that.
I'm keeping that in. I'm sorry.
You can.
It's too funny.
Of course.
It might be, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And should they be deported? I mean, questions like that arise all the time, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. But just going back to, as a whole or a general statement, I think, the criminals that we think are criminals, those Venezuelan gangs you're talking about, MS-13 you're talking about, any gang affiliation related,
people that were deported and came back.
People stealing
IDs.
money from I don't know, the government, those loans they apply for, and a lot of things like that are also going on. When they submit fake documentation to get those SBA loans or PPP loans, those paycheck protection programs loans.
So I remember years ago, one of the jobs I was working, the guy from El Salvador offered me a credit card, a gas card, for $25. He said it's got $100 on it, like they steal them. So, he goes, so go fill your car up. It was when gas was going up through the roof like years ago, and I'm like, nah, man, I don't.
I don't want to touch it.
I don't want to. First of all, what if I go there and it doesn't work?
Exactly.
I'm owed $25, but still, I don't encourage that behavior because.
You know who else I want to call out? I want to call out those people that always say, who are like in totality on the same page with these ICE raids, immigration raids, and they forget that most of those people actually use, until today maybe, maids, cleaners. They go to Home Depot and pick up, those people standing at Home Depot to, do some loading, unloading, or moving, or do some construction work.
How many did they pick up at Home Depot?
No, I know. It's not about the number of how many. It's not about that. If you, this is the thing. If you set a precedent and say, oh, it's just one or two, it's okay. That means
it's collateral damage.
No,
collateral damage.
Collateral damage. Okay.
So
well,
look at
I don't think it's collateral damage.
I
think somebody in the organization at ICE just because Trump just switched on the flip and said it's on. It's the green light. They said, okay, I think we're gonna do whatever we want.
Well, no. Wait a minute
and
now.
That's exactly.
Wait a minute. Trump gave people. They said we're going to give you free tickets to go back home. We're going to pay you to go back home. We're going to and so it's almost like Netanyahu sending pamphlets to Hamas, not Hamas, but
to Palestinians.
Or what is the piece of land? I can't think of it.
Gaza.
Yeah. Dropping the pamphlet saying you have 4 hours to get out. We're gonna bomb. Right here. This is what's gonna happen. Then when the people go, f that, and they get attacked.
I know, but what is Trump saying? Trump is saying, because you're working at Home Depot, we're gonna come and snatch you. He didn't say that.
No. So there might have been a couple rogue guys, but what happens is because there's so much anti-Trump movement and so much anti-Trump shit on the other side. This is the little nuggets they're giving you. Not like, look he just got rid of let's just say 150 MS-13 gang members and got them over the border, and they're in this prison. But they're not reporting on that. They're reporting on the three guys in front of the Home Depot that might have got snatched.
Yeah.
Or the maid that maybe had some criminals in her house that got snatched. I mean, because they have nothing. They have nothing. They have nothing.
I'm glad at least, he tweeted this out, or his on he said that
he's a
we're
reasonable
not touching the hardworking people. That's what I was mostly upset at. That we shouldn't touch the people who are hardworking, and I understand they should have a legal status, and I understand they should have came here illegally. But when you have no chance in your country, you're not gonna care. Are you coming here legally or illegally? One thing you care about is your family, your children, to come here, to be safe, to work your ass off, to have a productive, and a bright future, because this is the only country in the world that can possibly allow us to do that. There's no other country in the world that you can immigrate to, and within a span of 5, 6, 7 years, for you to be a millionaire, for you to have a productive life, for you to be a good citizen. Because I know people personally who've been to this country only for 5, 6 years, and they're doing phenomenal. They're doing fantastic.
So I think
it's businesses. They're making millions of dollars. And they shouldn't be, snatched up.
I think the difference is because you can immigrate, because we're seeing it with Muslims immigrating to countries in Europe. I think the biggest difference is when you come to this country with nothing,
you can become something.
Absolutely.
Right? Where in other countries, they do have migrants going in and saying political asylum or whatever, but there's nothing there for them. They don't have that opportunity to move up the ladder the way they do here.
Because this is the only country with the entrepreneurial spirit. No other country is this entrepreneurial than anybody else in the entire world.
And Trump, this just goes to show you that Trump listens. Well, like I said, I'm not gonna make a judgment if this is something he already believed and just said, maybe, let me put it out there, or he listened to other businessmen who said, we need these people in our hotels, we need these people picking the strawberries and for the groceries and for working on the farms, and he might have said, you know what, like Bill Maher, and I don't want to keep bringing up Bill Maher, but you know what, maybe we'll be on his round table one day.
Yeah, I think we will one day.
So Bill Maher was saying that he sat down and he talked to him, and he says he's a reasonable man. He goes, he's a different person when the camera's on. He does the show, but he listens to what you have to say. And he asks you questions about what do you think.
Of course, he's a businessman.
Yeah.
Any businessman listens. Any businessman, if you're a smart, successful businessman, you don't just take your side and go with it. You got to hear the person in front of you out. You got to hear their comments, their concerns, their analogy.
Yeah.
Because that also gives you, ideas for you, to possibly, take a different route than you originally had.
In my book,
I think it's in my book, Perceptions of Life. I say, that one of the questions was what makes a good leader, and I put a good listener.
Absolutely.
Because you can't lead without listening.
you have to listen. You can't just. That's what those terrorist groups do. They just say this is the way it is, and that's it. Here's the book. This is the book. So when you die, you get 77 virgins, and so they're willing to die because they think that there's. First of all, who wants a virgin anyway?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to train somebody how to do anything. I want it all ready to go.
Okay. Then you're looking for a different class of females.
So you're telling me you're not into amateurs. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I want to learn something. I don't want to teach all the time.
Okay.
I want to say, hey, I never had that happen before.
Oh, wow. His fantasy is just going off.
Well, guys, going back to Trump, I know as much as you guys like talking about virgins and amateurs. Going back to Trump, do you think he had a change of policy in his mind or a change of compassion?
No, you know what I think really happened, in my honest opinion? I think big business leaders, hotel, farm, in those industries, called him up, say, "Hey, man, you got to stop this. This is affecting us. This is affecting our businesses. This is affecting our employees. Everybody's scared. I mean, that one business that they raided in
Nebraska,
and Omaha, right?
The home of Marlon Brando.
Yeah, that business wasn't able to operate because people were scared to come to work. There was this car wash that shut down here locally in Downey. And
Look what he did. Look what he just did.
I know. He is pissed. He is pissed, and
Pissed at what?
he's
That
arrested.
he's here-
Wouldn't you be arrested? Wouldn't you be pissed if you're arrested?
I have been arrested, and I wasn't pissed. I said, "That's." I blame myself. Like I should have done that.
I get that. But
I shouldn't have put my hand through that window at a hotel because
I think again,
my ex-fiance was sitting next to somebody.
I think he got a bunch of phone calls from big business leaders. Okay, because remember, he's a businessman, he's an entrepreneur. He's been in the hotel industry. He still is, and he knows exactly how it works. And people are scared to go to work.
You know the difference? Let's just say the difference between you get pulled over by a police officer and you go, "Yes, sir." They go, "Do you know you were speeding?" "I didn't realize it, sir. Sorry, sir." And
Yes.
he goes and takes care of his business versus that dickhead with the phone ready to go. "I don't have to give you anything.
Yeah.
I don't. That's against my rights." That's the type of person that is sit there. You know that you don't belong
No,
here.
listen, you're right. In any scenario, you should never be combative, or be aggressive towards law enforcement of any type. It can be from a regular police officer or any authority. Let's say you go to, a basketball game at Staples Center or into a dome, and security says, "Hey, you can't do that. You can't be, aggressive and combative." They'll throw you out.
Yeah.
Just like that. And then
You have to sit and talk. Like I have a lot of friends that are police officers. In my because I run cigar lounges. I'm a Freemason. I do a lot of stuff, and I sit down and I talk to these guys. They're just like you and I. It's like, man, it's a job. I got to do it. I don't want to have to do it, but it's, this is my job. I got to write tickets. Do I like getting a ticket? No, but that's his job, or he gets fired.
Have you ever got out of a ticket?
Once I did. It was a female police officer.
Maybe it was the looks. Your looks.
She was cute too. And I was like, damn.
Maybe
she felt that sexual tension I was throwing at her.
Going back to those fantasies again. you would like to be handcuffed or something, huh?
It depends who's doing the handcuffing.
Listen, but the reason why I'm asking you this is I've gotten out of tickets multiple times.
Yeah.
And the only way for you to do that is just be nice.
Yeah, I'm always nice to police officers.
Be nice, yeah. Like you said, yes sir, no sir. Hey man, can you give me a chance? I'm sorry or whatever. Then they see that you're normally dressed. You have you're not all crazy looking. Of course they'll give you a chance. Like you said, they're just human like me and you. They have wife and kids. They have mothers and fathers.
Yeah.
They're family men themselves, and they understand exactly. There are some, of course, there are many that can be very ruthless in they take, how should I say this without using a curse word? They abuse that little power that they have, and they can, they want to.
So what is the difference? Because my kid's mother, I still don't know what to call it because, we're separated. I don't,
Be nice.
no, but she got pulled over by police. She didn't get a ticket. She was in the wrong. They said, oh. And they let her fly.
Yeah.
Now I said, if that's me, maybe because the woman let me off. I never really get let off. But she gave me a nice smile. She was real, and I'm like, can I get your badge number and your phone number? No.
Speaking of consequences, do you think we're going to jump into this?
Good.
That Iran should be penalized for trying to, have nuclear weapons?
Well, they've been...
Or who is to say for them to have or not to have? Who is the authority for them to
There's really
oblige by?
They have the right to do anything they want. However, when you constantly say you want to destroy Israel and you want to push them into the sea and you want to come after America because it's run by Jews, that's a problem. You don't want somebody with that kind of mentality to have a nuclear arsenal, and I understand why they don't want them to have it. So they can have it, grow up, put your religious book aside, and be a human and understand. Just live your life. Just live your life.
So you're telling me if they had a different government intact, if they had a different administration, let's say let's say it was a monarchy again, like it was in the 60s and 70s, it would be okay for them to have a nuclear arsenal?
Who are we to tell anybody what they can have?
But we are, right? We're kind of dictating the world and telling them, hey, you can do this, you can't do that.
But who are we?
Israel was developing weapons after they became a state. I think they started developing nuclear weapons in the 60s. Before Kennedy, hold on, it was Eisenhower, right? So when Eisenhower was president, he didn't do much. But then when Kennedy came into power, he mandated to have annual inspections. Go to Israel. The United States went to Israel and they inspected their facilities to see if they're developing any sort of nuclear weapons or what they're doing.
Israel was created by the United States.
No, I know, but I'm saying that when you're saying who are we to say what's
who knows what
any state can do or not do, but that's exactly what we've been doing for years.
Yeah. Well, with Israel,
Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan, all these countries, even Russia, I wouldn't be surprised if we try to overthrow Putin's government a few times over.
So we don't know. I mean, we only know what they tell us, right? So we don't know if there's other locations where they're working on making nuclear bombs in that region.
Where, in Iran?
Could be another. There's a lot of people that support Iran. Like, for instance, I believe Pakistan just came out and said if Israel attacks Iran, they're going to hit them with a nuclear.
Pakistan.
Right.
Yeah, Pakistan also is a nuclear.
Yeah.
Country.
India, Pakistan,
India.
Russia.
Israel apparently has 229 nuclear weapons or warheads.
And
or
what is
whatever.
that? What does that even mean? It's so fucking idiotic. You got 200. You only need one or maybe three. How do you? It's gonna
The
just.
U.S. and Russia, they lead. The U.S. has
Yeah.
like 5,500. Russia has like
What do you?
5,800 or something.
What do you, after three of them? Is it matter? Once you hit the right spots, I mean, then the fallout for years after, where your arms falling off and you got pizza face.
Pizza face. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how many you have, as long if they hit with one.
But
yeah.
think about, this is Obama's fault. Obama got rid of Gaddafi, which created chaos in that region.
Yeah.
And then Bush, before that, Bush got rid of Saddam Hussein, who was keeping that region under control, and then the chaos began. So these two anti-Trump presidents created the mess in the Middle East right now.
But Israel was the biggest proponent for the U.S. getting rid of Saddam Hussein, and Netanyahu was one of the
We shouldn't have done
loudest
it.
voices out there saying, "I promise you, if you get rid of Saddam Hussein, this region will be,
And then his people said, we're going to get rid of you, and then he let October 7th happen so that they can't get rid of him.
Well, hold on one more time. What did he say? You said
That the state of Israel, the
Yeah.
people were trying to oust Netanyahu,
yeah.
and then October 7th happened.
That's another thing I wanted to get at, because there was, Netanyahu was being, they wanted to prosecute him, right?
Yep.
For corruption and stealing funds and things like this, right? Do you think this is like part of his personal agenda, not only a state agenda, not only a Israeli agenda, but a Bibi agenda for him to stay in power?
Of course it is.
Like get rid of all the protests against him.
I like it when I talk to some of my friends, and I love everybody I talk to. So it's not a dig, but some people that are in that corner of the world, and they say, "Oh, he would never do that. That's too evil." I go, "Really?"
He would never do what? Like attack a different country?
Let October 7th happen,
yeah,
when they're supposed to have this dome and they have the best military in the world,
Yeah.
but they slip through here and they kill and kidnap, and now there's no talk of getting him out of power. Now he's becoming more powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's of course that's people are evil, especially men in power like that are evil. Look what Hitler did. Look what Stalin did. Look what Lenin did. Look what Mao did. I mean, you could sit there and go through the whole list of how evil leaders are, and they go, "Oh no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't kill his own people." Of course he would.
Yeah. Because people are selfish. Do you think we should get involved?
No,
Right. Absolutely not. I don't think we should get involved at all.
we have an ocean around us
That's protecting
that's
us.
protecting us.
I don't know if you guys saw this video this morning.
I did. I actually did
Here.
see that. Look at this. Have you seen this video?
Yeah, I've seen
While
it.
on live television, this Iranian state TV just got bombed by Israel.
Why would she walk in the direction of where the smoke's coming from?
Maybe that's where the door is.
Well, if there wasn't a door, there's one now.
No, but I just have a question for you guys, okay? I know we're talking about, Iran's horrible regime and how, effectively they're trying to kill, a whole religion, kill the Jewish people. Looking back in the 1960s and 70s, Iran was a fairly civilized community, don't you think?
I mean,
Yes, I have one of my best friends, Arman Sardiani, is Armenian.
Iranian, Armenian, right?
Yeah, but it begins with
Syrian, maybe?
Syrian Armenian.
Assyrian, Armenian.
Yeah, so that's where he's from. So he would tell me how horrible that was for him, because if you were not Iranian, or I don't know what the term is for the people there, you were a second-class citizen.
Really?
So they can abuse you, and there's nothing you could do.
When? After the fall of Shah?
Yeah.
Like during Khomeini?
Yeah.
Uh,
He said
I
that
don't-
they had no rights.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but one thing I know for certain is that during the reign of the Shah, Armenians were very prominent.
He said it was great. I mean, you look at the
Iran.
pictures. They all got the women are dressed in nice outfits, dresses. The men are in suits.
During the reign of Shah, I think it's from what the son.
Was the father and the son?
But after the dad passed away, I think the son took over when he was very young. I think he was in his 20s. He was like 21, 22 years old. I mean, he was a baby kind of. Yes, he was an adult, but he was a kid at 21, 22-year-old, and he took over this massive country. And
Look at that.
yeah, I know. At the time, it was one of the most westernized Middle Eastern countries, and the U.S. was one of their biggest allies. I mean, Iran leadership has been, in great relations, not only with the U.S. but also with Israel. Did you know that they were in good relations with Israel? And the Shah came here to the U.S. multiple times, and like everybody paraded him and they loved him, and Iran was just and then look what happens there with look at that. Yeah.
What's that? They put that umbrella up so you get some shade.
Yeah, but yeah, they were enjoying life. Everybody was happy under this monarchy.
Yeah, and we were partly to blame for that shit too, probably.
Yeah, because
That's why I stay out of other people's business.
for a moment, yeah, exactly. For a moment,
Look at that. That looks like it's L.A.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
But this is how it, and then look, and then it's this.
Oh, look at that. It looks like Antifa.
This is religious leadership. This is what religion. I mean, their religion.
Was that a picture of Santa Claus?
I don't know.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, Muslim Santa Claus.
It's nuts, man. Yeah, that's I don't know.
I don't think we should be involved anyway. I don't think even though we're Israel is one of the U.S.'s biggest allies in that region in the Middle East. I don't think we should be involved in any way, shape, or form, and I don't even think we should give our military equipment or hardcore military equipment for it to be utilized in the war. I think the war just should stop. I think both should come to a negotiating table and negotiate just like every venture out there negotiates to come to a common agreement.
Well,
And end this.
we were talking earlier because I needed some information because I was just thinking about it. But $8.2 billion of our military budget goes to other countries.
Yeah.
So when they complain about our military budget being so big, like, oh, we don't need all that.
Out of $956 billion for 2025. Well, this is 2023, right? 8.2 billion was designated for military aid.
11%.
11%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when people complain about our, overinflated budget, well, these are the, break it down. Just don't think we're building bombs and tanks. I mean, there's other things that the military does besides employ every single military officer is getting a paycheck out of that
But also,
budget.
this is strategic. That's the thing.
Yeah.
This is very strategic. We know who to give aid to, which country, which military we should support, because if we ever need them in any way, shape, or form, hey, you remember that day? When I sent you a few $1 billion? You remember that?
Yeah.
Make sure you're here, at this day, at this time.
Isn't that what Obama did? He said, hey, here's billions and billions of dollars, and gave it to Iran. Said, oh, that was your money we held during the war, so you're gonna get it back now.
Yeah.
And then Biden gives
did.
them all the equipment.
Yeah, he did. Look, I don't think the U.S. wants to have any sort of war with Iran at all. Especially this administration.
$400 million to Iran.
The funds that were transferred to Iran were related solely to the settlement of a long-standing claim at the U.S.-Iran Claims Tribunal at The Hague. So this is John Kirby, U.S. State Department.
Stupid.
But going back to my question, okay, the regime that we're seeing right now, let's say we do take out the regime, or Israel does take out the regime. Are they too far gone to change, or do you think they?
No,
can
I think the people of Iran should decide if they want to change their regime. I don't think it should be an external country, Israel or the U.S., even though we've been doing it for hundreds of years, influencing foreign governments to change their leadership.
They need a new interpretation of the Quran. Whoever's interpreting their religion to be to give women no rights and to make men animals. That's I don't believe that would be in that religious book. I haven't read it, but maybe they need a new leadership to interpret these words as something else besides kill, kill, kill. What do you think?
I think, again, the people of Iran should be the ones deciding who should be their leaders.
Of course.
If they want religious leadership, like the Ayatollah, okay, fine, here you go. But these are the consequences. This is how it works. You know, it's not very westernized, developed country. You know, they go back, I don't know, 50, 60 years. They want a presidency, like a democratically elected president, and instead of a religious leadership, that can be different. I think that's what should happen. They don't like it, overthrow your government, which happens in other countries all the time with the help of the U.S., of course. Do you think if this war goes on, still continues, would we have a World War III? You think China and Russia are going to back Iran, and then the U.S. and Europe go with Israel?
You know, when you got a country, and I love my country, and I'm not disrespecting it, but when you got a superpower like the United States that is dictating policy all over the world, some people get a little probably, who the f*** are they? Let's all band together. Who knows if this is something they've been planning? Most of the world, they hate Israel, right? Why? I don't know why. So I do see a possible World War III.
Do you think Iran is going to come to the negotiating table?
I don't know, but like I was telling you earlier before we put the cameras on, or a total annihilation. I mean, there's no if you're going to do this shit, if you're going to start this shit, we need to show strength like we did in Japan.
Total annihilation.
Total annihilation.
Of who? Iran?
If they start shit, yeah, because they're gonna come after us. They don't like our values. They don't like.
I don't think they have the manpower or the military might to come after us. I don't think, and they know that.
But if they
can barely go after Israel.
I mean,
look at this for a second.
Go ahead.
200 planes flew over Iranian airspace. Not one was hit by any rocket. What does that tell you?
There was a picture of one that came down.
And then another 50 flew the following day. Nothing happened to. That means they have no air defense capabilities.
If you have cancer, you don't say, you know what? We'll just treat the part that's the worst of it. You get rid of it all. We've been dealing with this shit for how many decades? With this bullshit in the Middle East, with the terrorists, with the Hamas,
but every time
it's time to take them out. We have the power. Take them the out, and guess what? We don't have to deal with it anymore.
So hold on, are you advocating for us to get involved?
No, I said we should stay out, but if we're gonna get involved,
yeah, I don't think we're
total annihilation. If we're going to get involved,
the only way we're going to get involved is through a proxy war. That's the only way.
Well, I don't want to send our young people, our young men, out to be slaughtered. Even if we lose 300 and they lose 5,000, I don't think it's worth the 300 American lives to go over there.